My name is Sid Haas. I'm the Vice President of Business Development here at LKCS, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar on social media marketing strategy. Like I said, we have a lot of content to cover in the next hour, so sit tight and feel free to submit any questions that you may have. Just a quick note for those of you not familiar with LKCS, we've been in business since 1961. We serve clients all around the country, focusing primarily on working with credit unions and banks. We provide services across all marketing channels, from traditional to electronic, working with a lot of data, statements, e-statements, a lot of personalized communications, a lot of segmented communications. But obviously today's focus is going to be on how you can best utilize social media to market your institutions. So we're going to focus on these areas, right? And I'm going to give you a quick overview on social media marketing. We're going to discuss what makes effective social media content. We're going to talk about social media trends in 2020 and obviously heading into 2021. I'm going to talk a little bit about managing social media and then hopefully have some time to into Q&A. So before I really dive into the meat of the presentation, I obviously have to talk about compliance, and we'll talk about compliance a little bit more. I do obviously, have a tremendous amount of respect for compliance people. They protect all of us, and I'd be happy obviously I enjoy conversations that I have with compliance people. But be sure to have your compliance experts review all of your policies, procedures, and social media posts. I by no means claim to be an expert in compliance, but I do know quite a bit about financial marketing. So when we talk about what is social media marketing, I do like to start with a simple definition. So social media marketing, in my interpretation, is the process of using, different online communication platforms to engage both potential and existing account holders, right? And when you think about social media, it's really about engaging and having conversations online, with these audiences. And these communities have to be built, right? It's not a set it and forget it marketing strategy. There's definitely time and effort that's required to get success with social media. And financial institutions can successfully manage the risks associated with the use of social media. And we will definitely discuss that as we proceed with the presentation. So when you look at social media in general, the social media landscape is huge. There are literally hundreds of different social media sites, and those keep growing, right? We're going to talk about, some obviously the most common ones, and then even some that are on the fringe, ones like TikTok, obviously, that have made the news quite a bit in 2020. But know that there are channels related to specific audiences, for business customers and members versus, consumers. Know that there are ones for specific interests. Twitch is a good example of that, specifically for gamers. And even some that are regional, based on location. There's some for specific purposes, right? There are some specifically for chat, some like YouTube that are meant specifically for sharing videos. So just know that there's tons of these social media channels, and obviously you can't be everywhere all the time. But there are some tremendous benefits of social media marketing as well. And these are a few of them, that you can see on the screen, with the primary goal, which is definitely achievable, of opening accounts, right, and generating sales opportunities. And that's clearly the bottom line. The issue that you have is that it's difficult to measure all of the success that you have on social media. And we'll talk about that a little bit further as well. So I'd like to give you, just some basic stats on some of the major social media platforms. Some of these, these are all up to date. Facebook is still by far the dominant platform, excuse me, on social media. It's the one that we're going to be talking about quite a bit today. But Facebook has 2.74 billion monthly active users, 1.8 billion daily active users, with 183 million daily users in the United States. To put that into perspective, that's twice as many people almost as those that watched the last Super Bowl. 69% of US adults now use Facebook. That's, again, dominant compared to the other social media platforms. You can see the breakdown, by age group, 18 to 24-year-olds, 76% of them are using Facebook. We keep hearing, that younger demographics are leaving Facebook. The truth is that they are not leaving Facebook. They're just not publishing content on Facebook. They are consuming content on Facebook. They might be on Facebook less time than they used to be, but that's also because they're on other platforms that didn't exist, in previous years. Know that 52% of US adults get their news on Facebook. Scary as that may be, it's true. American adults spend 38 minutes a day on Facebook, and 1 in 5 internet page views in the US still occurs on Facebook. It's still by far the dominant social media platform. Instagram, which is also owned by Facebook, is clearly a very, important platform, one that we're seeing more and more banks and credit unions start to use. There's 1.16 billion monthly active users, and about 63% of those users log in at least once every day. 35% of US adults, about 112.5 million people, now use Instagram, dominated primarily by the younger demographics. Instagram's official account, so Instagram itself, has 375 million people following it. So, that's a lot of people. Users spend 28 minutes a day on Instagram. So the Instagram users that are coming in every day are there for a while. Twitter, the numbers start dropping down fairly rapidly, right? There's 186 million what they call monetizable daily active users. Monetizable meaning they're going to see advertising. Daily active users, 36 million of those in the US, and 22% of US adults use Twitter. But there's 500 million tweets sent every day, which is over 5,700 per second. And tweets with hashtags get 100% more engagement than ones without. So use only 1 or 2 hashtags, though, if you're going to put them in your tweets. More than that, and that engagement drops off dramatically. People watch 2 billion videos on Twitter every day. I think that people don't realize how popular video is on Twitter, and tweets with video get 10 times more engagement. And this is very interesting as well, that tweets with GIFs get 55% more engagement, yet only 2% of tweets contain GIFs. So a little bit of animation, a little bit of motion goes a long way on Twitter. Something to consider, as you're putting your tweets together. And LinkedIn, obviously for business users, LinkedIn is quite popular. 722 million users, 171 million in the US. 51% of Americans with a college degree use LinkedIn. 45% of LinkedIn users are in upper management. It's the decision makers that are congregating on LinkedIn, which is obviously important. 91% of executives rate LinkedIn as their first choice for professional content. And interestingly, 13% of LinkedIn users don't have a Facebook account, and 59% don't use Twitter. And the LinkedIn users visit daily. 12% of them visit daily, 23% visit several times per week. So it's definitely a platform, worth, using to reach those business users. YouTube is a social media platform. People don't think of it that way, but it is. There's 2 billion users worldwide. 73% of US adults use YouTube. I would venture to say that probably everybody on the call here today has used YouTube, right, at some point in time, and probably uses it fairly regularly. The average mobile session on YouTube lasts 40 minutes. So again, people are on YouTube for a significant amount of time and in long spurts. So it's not like they're just on there for 40 minutes a day. When they start a session, they're on there for a long time. And every minute, over 500 hours of video is uploaded to YouTube. I think that's an incredible stat. More than 16% of all YouTube traffic comes from the US, and it's the second most visited website in the world. 20% of users will leave a video if it hasn't hooked them in the first 10 seconds. The intro of your video is absolutely critical. Learning something new, so actually educational videos, is the third highest reason people are going to watch videos, behind wanting to be entertained or wanting to relax. So education, educational videos, educational content is obviously very popular on YouTube. And lastly is Google My Business. So Google My Business is how businesses manage their info on Google Maps, but it also relates to web searches. So Google My Business is much more than just a name, address, and phone number listing. Obviously, you can publish your hours, but you can also publish information about your financial institution and even post updates similar to your Facebook and other social media posts. So if you haven't looked into that functionality, I encourage you to. Google reviews are obviously much more important now than ever before. They are trusted and they affect your search placement. So you can ask for Google reviews, but you can't edit or delete them. You can flag fake reviews as inappropriate, and you can expedite the process by contacting support, where you can request a callback, chat, or email support. So if you get a fake review, you can have it removed. But Google reviews will have positive effects in a lot of different areas for you. So a little bit about those platforms, but we'll obviously discuss some ways that you can use them a little bit better. One way is obviously to be sure that you're posting and responding regularly. You want to post quality content and you want to do it on a regular basis. And you want to monitor your pages, your sites all the time for social interactions. So in my opinion, you should post about 3 to 5 times per week. Some people say more, some people say less. And post those updates when you're open, right? You want to post updates during business hours. You want to be authentic. People know you're not there at 10 o'clock at night. Highest traffic occurs midweek, generally between 1 and 3 p.m. And on Thursdays and Fridays, engagement is typically about 18% higher. So let's talk about what to post. And I always get the question gosh, content is so hard to find. It takes us so long. But content really is everywhere. And I'm going to show you some places, talk about some places where you can find it. So what makes good social media content? Obviously, photos and videos. Honestly, if your post doesn't have an image, at least, it's probably not worth posting. I mean, there's just posts without any type of visual image that goes with it. They just don't get any traction or very little traction. Videos especially are much more popular even than images. Obviously, it's probably not realistic to expect every post of yours to have a video. Links, don't limit your links to just your products. Link to other websites, link to related news articles, even funny tidbits. Mix it up, right? People don't always want to be linked just back to your website. And use the 80-20 rule. The majority of your posts need to give value to your fans first. They need to be educational, informative, fun. They need to be thought provocative. They're not going to be sales related. 20% of those status updates can be promotional or talk about your brand. And post like a friend, post like a person and not a company. You want to use informal, personal language, right? And stay away from those complex terms, which the banking industry is full of. Reply to people when they comment on your updates. Comments are hard to come by, right? We know that. So not everybody, you'll get a lot of people that consume your content, and most of them aren't going to like anything. They're not going to comment on anything you want. They're going to fly right by, right? You'll get the message out. You'll never be able to measure that they were there. And that's one of the problems with, social media is you don't really know how many people see your posts. But when they do comment, you want to engage with them. You want to thank them for that comment. You want to answer a question, whatever it is. You want to let them know that you saw it, and then they're much more likely to come back and comment again. So where can you find content? Ask your HR departments. Ask about new hires, promotions, transfers. Have them send that information to you regularly. Include photos of those people if they'll let you, right? Have an Ask the President, section, maybe once a week. Have a question that comes in regularly and make it look like your CEO is answering that question. Ask your employees, ask your frontline staff, what are the common questions you get about about any of your products and services? They all know, right? The people that are answering the phone and answering those chats, they all know what questions people are asking regularly. And then you can start putting those questions and answers out there. Put those testimonials, put tips and tricks about using your online services and, any of those education articles. And I'll show you some examples as we get going here. Products and services, obviously, when you have specials, when rates change, when you have new launches, you can talk about some features. I think comparisons are great, comparing between different products, between different checking accounts, for example, or different credit cards that you offer. That's helpful. So it is sales related, right? You don't want to overdo it, but it's helpful when you can show the differences between those products. If you produce a newsletter or an e-newsletter, it's chock full of social media posts. There's probably a few in there for every article. Not ones that you're going to post, all at once, but look at them, pull them out of there. If you're spending the time to develop the content to put in a newsletter, you've got a gold mine of content that you can use for social media posts. Obviously, all the community events that you participate in, there's photo opportunities there, there's video opportunities there that you should be taking advantage of to post on social media. Business relationships that you have those businesses share when they have grand openings, when they have sales and specials, when a restaurant adds to their menu, when there's realtor open houses and new listings, all of those types of things. You'll have other business coming to you asking how they can get on your Facebook page. It's great, community building, and it's good stuff. And obviously news, weather, stocks, sports, trivia, all of that seasonal content is all stuff that you can use in your social media posts to hit that 80-20 balance. Ways to increase engagement. Engagement rates, like I said, they're small, right? People don't comment. They don't like as much as they used to. And that doesn't mean they're not visiting. It doesn't mean they're not consuming your content, but to get that engagement, in some ways, you really have to kind of pull for it. So trivia isn't trivial. People love trivia questions and they're likely to answer them, especially if there's a little contest, right? A little giveaway behind it. But ask a question about an image, right? Have them, tell you what it is, have them caption a photo for you. Again, this can be done with contests or without. Even simple fill in the blank prompts. Anything to warrant, to encourage somebody to give you any type of response, comment, answer to a question, is going to help. The average engagement rate for a Facebook post is 3%. And that includes likes, by the way. The average engagement rate for a Facebook video post is almost twice that. And the average organic reach for a Facebook post, meaning when you publish a Facebook post, how many of your followers are going to see that post, is only 5%. So it's only a small percentage of your audience that's going to see your post. And that number is not growing. That number keeps shrinking. So video, obviously with twice the engagement, people are going to watch those videos. So when you do have videos, I have a few tips for you, right? First is no sound. You can have sound in the video, but make sure that the video content that you're publishing is just as good without sound as it is with sound. Because users actually watch 85% of Facebook videos without sound. Think to yourself, when you're using Facebook on your phone, are you listening to the sound on those videos or not? Most people are not. So focus on images that catch attention, add captions to those videos. If there's dialogue or narration in those videos that you need to have. Square videos are cool. They actually get 35% more views than landscape videos, and it's because they take up more of the screen. It's because they actually take up 78% more space in a user's news feed. And upload those videos. If you're using those videos on Facebook, upload them to Facebook as opposed to sharing them from YouTube or other video sources. Videos uploaded to Facebook get 478% more shares than if you're sharing them on Facebook from other video sources. Native videos also play automatically in the Facebook app. Again, when you're on your phone, right, and you're using Facebook, you know what I'm talking about. Those Facebook videos just start playing. You don't have to hit the play button. So I showed you that only 5% of your followers get your posts organically. So how do you increase that reach? Well, obviously, great posts, that definitely helps because great posts will go viral. But in all reality, that's not very likely. Facebook will show your posts to more people if people interact with it, right? So if you get lots of likes and lots of comments, or as you get more and more likes and more comments, people will increase that reach. Live videos are very, very popular. So when you're at those community events and you're out there, go ahead and try to shoot a live video. People spend 3 times longer watching those live streams than watching recorded videos. We'll talk about this again, but video does not have to be professionally produced to use it on social media. Never, ever, ever, ever resort to what they call engagement baiting. Don't put in your post like this, if you do this, tag 10 friends, share this for a chance to win. Facebook is going to penalize you for doing that. We see it all the time. And I know you see it in posts from other companies, all the time as well. It is not a good practice. So while I'm telling you that you need to basically ask people to respond, you need to do it in a way without asking them to respond, right? You can't actually ask them to like a post or ask them to share a post, but you can encourage it by saying, hey, caption this post, or, ask that trivia question, and then they'll know that they have to comment to provide the answer. And know that Facebook isn't free, right? We all think of social media as free, but it's not. So Facebook earned over $21 billion in advertising revenue in the third quarter of 2020. They haven't published, obviously, their fourth quarter numbers yet. They will soon. And in that same quarter, they earned $7.8 billion in net income. That's all from advertising revenue. The way you're going to increase that reach, that organic reach, is by paying. So you need to advertise or boost some of your posts. And boosts are just a form of advertising. Now, I hear the debate all the time, well, boosting isn't a good idea, advertising is better. Boosting is a form of advertising. To me, it's the easy button of advertising. You can select, either way, whether you use the true advertising method or you choose to boost a post. You can select your audience. You can select your duration, how long you're going to advertise or boost that post for, and your budget. Facebook will show you an estimate of the number of people you'll reach based on your spend, and your budgets can be as low as $1 per day. That is really, the key to increasing your reach is how much you're going to spend. Now, you all know that Facebook has special ad categories, right? As a result of a lawsuit. Facebook, if you're advertising for loans, credit cards, mortgages, home equity, homeowners insurance, you have limitations on your audience selection criteria. This is all implemented to prevent discrimination, so it does protect you as well, but it limits some of your ad choices and your boosting choices. So we can no longer target audiences based on age, gender, zip code, your saved audiences, or what they call lookalike audiences. And advertisers cannot target an area smaller than a 15-mile radius. So for some of the smaller credit unions out there, that's a problem because a 15-mile radius is pretty large. And a lot of interests are no longer available to special ad category advertisers. So you have to get creative. For example, we used to be able to target small business owners, right, as a target of our special, when we were creating an ad audience. I could literally select small business owners as a target, which was terrific. I can't do that anymore, but I can target entrepreneurship as an interest. So there's ways not around it, but there's ways to work within the special ad categories to achieve the same result. Also know that this does not apply to deposit accounts. And I know some of you are disagreeing with me right now. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. No, it does not. You will need to set up a separate ad or a separate ad category for your deposit accounts, a separate campaign for deposit accounts than loans. They can't be in the same campaign. But know with the special ad categories on Facebook that you're going to be targeting a broader audience than you were before. So you're basically going to have to spend more to reach the same target because you're going to be advertising to people that you didn't really intend to. And there's just no way around it. So let's chat about COVID a little bit and how that's affected, or some ways that we can be more effective with our social media advertising or social media promotions, in this unprecedented time that we're in. Communication with our followers has never been more important, but you kind of need to change tactics, right? So I'm going to show you some examples of what I think are good. Some of this should be common sense, but it isn't always. So obviously many of you have changed hours, closed branches, opening branches. It's kind of a revolving door at times. So Lincoln Savings Bank, I think, has done a good job of it. This image they have used multiple times. And every time they publish the image, this is actually on Instagram, by the way, but they use the same image, I think, on Facebook. But whenever they publish this image, there's a post associated with it letting them know of a change in their access hours. Whether they're opening or closing differently, they're using the same image. So for consistency's purpose. All of you have had, not all, but many of you probably have had similar posts. I just think these guys have done a really good job of it. Georgia's own credit union, most of you, have been posting, a lot of you have been posting some educational articles. These guys do a really good job with their blog. Blogs are something I always recommend, to our clients. Um, I think that they've done a good job of writing blog articles that are good subject matter during the pandemic, and then they've done a good job of publishing those articles on a timely basis. You can purchase content, you can pay to have people write content for you, or you can write your own blog content. And these are a couple of good examples. And know that you don't have to have a huge budget to do some really cool things. Now, PNC is a large bank, right? They have money to do probably whatever they want to do. And they've done two things that I think are really, really cool ideas that institutions of any size can follow. First, they have their employees who are working at home recorded videos of themselves talking about how to use their online tools and their mobile tools. So in this case, there's one of their staff members talking about setting up, email and text message alerts. And you can see, right? She's just using her iPhone with her, with her headset or her earpods, talking right at the phone and just recording about how to use the app. And there's some screenshots they integrated, so there's a little bit of editing that goes into it. Very, very low budget, awesome, easy to do, and any one of you should be able to do the same type of thing. Second thing that I think PNC did, which I think is brilliant. Now they obviously did this with what I would call an influencer, right? They have some celebrities that are doing this, but I think you could do this with your local library or a local teacher, for in exchange for some books or a small donation. But they have Scott Dixon, who's an IndyCar driver, actually read books, to kids, and they were doing it once a week or so. They had different celebrities that were doing this for them. But I think that's terrific, right? You've got these students at home, that are basically kept up at home. Why not have that story hour that's sponsored by your bank or your credit union, that everybody knows that that you're going to post that, every Monday or every Tuesday or every Friday, whatever it is, and there's going to be a new story time, sponsored by your bank or credit union. I thought it was a terrific idea. Again, low budget, easy to produce, and you should be able to find somebody in the community that's willing to read those stories, even if it's somebody at the bank, willing to do that for you. I think it's a tremendous idea. So a few thoughts for you there. So let's jump into some trends for 2020. What we're seeing as far as social media trends, things that you should definitely be aware of, things to try, that you may not have. So first off are stories, right? So stories have spread from Snapchat to Instagram and now to Facebook. So when we talk about stories, stories are known formally as what's called ephemeral content. Ephemeral content means that they only are temporary or last for a very short time. So they differ from your regular posts. On Facebook, they only last for 24 hours, right? Snapchat, they last until somebody views it, and then they disappear. But stories are dominant on both Snapchat and Instagram, and they're very, very popular now on Facebook. So when we talk about Facebook stories launched in 2017, and they now have 500 million daily users, just Facebook stories alone. Facebook stories are short smartphone slideshows and videos. So they're vertical in format, taken from your smartphones, and slideshows of static photos or videos that last no more than about 20 seconds. They're available, like I said, for 24 hours. And there are some catches. First, if you want to keep an archive, if you want to keep a history of what you're publishing to your page, to your Facebook stories, you have to enable story archiving in your settings. That's not turned on by default. and users can reply through Facebook Messenger. So it's not like the comments you receive on other Facebook posts. If anybody were essentially to comment on a Facebook story, it's going to come through Facebook Messenger. But stories, you get the benefit of having a story at the very top of your news feed. So when someone opens Facebook either on their desktop or in their app, your story, like this LKCS one on the top left, appears right at the very top of the news feed. That's why they're so popular, because people open Facebook and they can see stories from their friends and from brands that they follow. If you want to see an example of a bank or credit union, today I happened to see one from Vibrant Credit Union. They have a story that's running today on their page. So if you search Vibrant Credit Union, if you're not following them already, they'll actually have a blue circle around their profile photo. You can click on that and view their little story. But you can see what a story looks like. So I'll show you. So this is an example of what a Facebook story looks like. So the first one was actually two static images that played one after the other. And, or actually all three of these were two images. And you can do some cool things. So these are images that I had created ahead of time. But then you can add stickers, you can add text, you can overlay different things within Facebook. I'll show you how here in a second. And some of those stickers are even interactive. So as an example, this yes, no on the right-hand side that you see here, this little poll is a poll sticker that Facebook has. You add that onto your image, and then you can obviously customize the text above that poll and get some interactivity, some interactive feedback from people who are viewing the stories. All of this data is captured inside of your Facebook Insights. There's a section for stories, but it's only captured there for 28 days. So again, it will drop off. So for reporting and archiving sake, you're going to want to make sure to capture that information on at least a monthly basis so that you have it. So I did record a little bit for how to actually create a story. I didn't know if everybody knew how to do that. So I can show that to everybody. If you give me 1 second, I'll switch over to how we actually create a story. I'd like to show you how easy it is to create a story in Facebook. I'm on Facebook on my LKCS Facebook page on my mobile device, and I'm going to click the plus sign next to our profile photo. And when I do that, you'll see that I have the option to create a story. I've already uploaded an image to the phone, but if you didn't have a photo that you wanted to use, you could obviously use your camera to take a photo, record a video that you wanted to use for your story. But I'm going to select the photo that I want to use. You have options now to add stickers, to add text, to draw on the photo. You can even add effects. For example, I can add different backgrounds, borders, things like that to this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to turn those off because I happen to like the image that I'm using. But I am going to add a link to my image. So these are buttons that will appear at the bottom of the photo. Our Facebook page has less than 10,000 fans, and because of that, Facebook limits us to the button so that the buttons are only going to link to the URL that's associated with our Facebook page. If you happen to have more than 10,000 fans, you'll be able to customize that link. If not, and you want to change the link, you actually have to change the link that's associated with your Facebook page prior to creating your story. But you'll see that it said that I've added that button. You don't see it on the story here, but your fans will. I can also add stickers. So you can look at any of the stickers that are associated with Facebook. But what I like actually is the option to search for GIFs using Jiffy. So I can search, since I'm promoting a webinar, I can search for webinar-related GIFs. And I can pick one of these that might be appropriate. So I'll grab this little webinar jiffy, which happens to be a speech bubble, and I can drag that where I want it. I can size it, make it bigger or smaller, right? But we'll place that over there to draw some attention. I can, like I said, add other text, things like that. But when I'm ready to go, all I have to do is click the Share Now button, and this story will be published to my page for the next 24 hours. That's all it takes. So that's how easy it is to create a story on Facebook. And if you haven't tried it, I really encourage you to. But like I said, make sure first in your page settings to enable story archiving, and give it a shot. It will definitely improve, for these stories anyway, you should see higher engagement and definitely, higher, um, uh, delivery on those posts. So the second trend that we're seeing is obviously influencers. Influencers are becoming micro-sized for maximum gain, but I'm sure you've seen, especially on Instagram, how popular influencers are. And influencers are people who get paid to post sponsored content, right? And some get paid a lot of money. As an example, Dwayne "The Rock," right, Johnson earns over $1 million for a single post. So I by no means am suggesting that you go out and hire Dwayne Johnson to post for your bank or credit union. And even number 100 on the list of Instagram's richest influencers gets $18,900 for a single post. But what's happening now in 2020 is that people have figured it out. People have figured out that these, that the Kim Kardashians of the world aren't just posting about these products because they think these products are awesome. They're posting about these products because they're getting paid to do it. So they don't trust these big names as much as they used to. It's not that it's not effective. It still obviously is, or these brands wouldn't be paying them. But you now have this, idea or this concept of nano influencers or micro influencers that are part of your community. And these can be highly effective and very, very affordable. So nano influencers are people that might have up to 1,000 or 10,000 followers, I think it is. And micro influencers have maybe up to, it might be 10,000 or 20,000 followers. Much lower numbers, right, than the others, but they're part of your communities, part of the industries that you're targeting, for your businesses. And they benefit from a higher level of trust in those industries. So these nano influencers and these micro influencers, you can approach them to be your brand ambassadors, so they can share your posts and engage in conversations with your followers. What you'll find by doing that is you will get higher engagement, and it can be less expensive than paid ad campaigns, depending on your social media ad budget. You're still going to pay per post, but you might be paying $80 a post, something like that, as opposed to obviously $18,000 a post. There's a big difference there. Everybody has different rates. There's all sorts of different things, but do some research on influencer marketing. It's definitely worth looking into. It's pretty cool stuff, and it's becoming highly effective. And if you find the right network of people, and it's going to be more than one in many cases, right? More than one influencer. You can start with one, but it might be definitely worth something to look at. Again, similar to paying, somebody to develop blog content for you. You're paying somebody to post, content for you. You can write the content. In many cases, you will write the content. They're going to post it to their social media followers on your behalf. Another trend is obviously using social media for customer and member service. This is becoming huge, especially on Twitter. I don't see it enough from some of our customers, but people want to use social media to reach out to companies for help, for questions, right? We think of it in a lot of cases as, well, I just need to post something and people are going to see it and they're going to comment on it. But we can also have our profiles out there for people to come to us with questions and for assistance. And it can be secure. Obviously not out in the open, but direct messaging, and private messaging is certainly available. And you can take conversations offline when you get that question, but at least give people a way to contact you so you know that there's something that you can help them with. 28% of consumers use social media to reach out to a company last year. And answering a complaint can increase advocacy by 25%. So responding to complaints creates loyalty. Everybody's afraid of getting complaints. You're not going to get very many of them. But failing to respond to a complaint decreases advocacy by 50%. Bank of America is one example of one of the banks that has a dedicated help channel on Twitter. Several of the large banks do this. It's good stuff. Take a look at it, just see what they're doing and see if it might be appropriate, for you as well. Know, however, that people expect a response quickly. So if you're going to open yourself up to using social media as a customer or member service channel, know that you have to have the mechanism in place to answer those questions and resolve those issues as quickly as you can. People expect a response, right? They expect a response quickly. 37% expect a response in under 30 minutes. So make sure you post, list what your hours are for, when those channels are going to be monitored. And so that they know what the expectation is for when they're going to get a response. Another trend that we're seeing is that alternate platforms are gaining popularity. So Facebook, as I already said, is clearly the king of social media. And it's no secret that younger audiences are spending time on other platforms. But like I've also said, they're not leaving Facebook. But these alternative platforms are obviously gaining traction. They come and go, right? There's some that, are a flash in the pan, but some of these have real traction. They're going to be around for a while. So the sites that I'm talking about are things like TikTok, Pinterest, Snapchat, Reddit, and others. They have large, active, growing user bases. And they have opportunities potentially, for you as well. So to give you some numbers on TikTok, because it's just so popular right now, TikTok has 850 monthly active users. And because of their response to Congress lately, they've actually published how many US users they have. They have 50 million daily and 100 million monthly active US users. This is much higher than anybody realized. It's an 800% increase since January of 2018. Again, highly dominated by younger demographics, 10 to 29-year-olds, right? It's the most downloaded app of all time, over 2 billion downloads. On average, TikTok users open the app 8 times a day, and they spend 52 minutes a day on it. TikTok offers ads. People don't realize that. At least, a lot of us don't realize it. They have in-stream ads with a $50 a day minimum. So you can try it, and it's not going to break the bank. Now, some of their other options are much more expensive. They have ads called brand takeover, which your ad will show when the app first loads. Extremely effective, $100,000 probably is going to cost you. Top view ads, which are basically the brand takeover type ad, but it becomes the first ad in a user's feed. So it's, a few seconds after the app loads. Again, it's probably a $50,000 to $100,000 cost. It's not appropriate for most of us. Hashtag challenges, branded effects, these are all options that come with a high price tag. You will see large brands doing this. So if you look on TikTok, especially brands appealing to younger demographics, Gap Jeans, Guess Jeans, or Gap, the clothing store, Guess Jeans, those are all brands that I know have had very successful like brand takeover campaigns. They're spending very large amounts of money on TikTok advertising. The 800-pound gorilla, let me get to that. But TikTok influencers are also much less expensive. So as we talked about influencer marketing, there are TikTok influencers with 2.5 million followers that you can get a post out for $600 to $1,000 as opposed to, $50,000 or $100,000 on Instagram. But that 800-pound gorilla that I mentioned is obviously the Chinese ownership and security concerns. So again, it may not be appropriate. We may have to see what shakes out over the next few months. But it's definitely a platform to keep your eyes on. Pinterest, obviously not new. It's been around, but nobody thinks about how fast it's been growing. It actually grew 26% in the last year. I don't know if that's because of COVID, but it's grown quite a bit. There's 88 million monthly active users in the US. 80% of women with children use Pinterest, moms. More than 2/3 of Pinterest users are women, so it's heavily dominated by women. And it's dominated by women with both high income women and women who are college educated. Both of those demographics are twice as likely to use Pinterest. Then there's some tremendous reasons to use it for marketing. 77% of pinners discover new brands and products on the platform. And shopping for products is the second highest activity on Pinterest. Viewing photos is number one, but shopping is number two. And there's also tremendous engagement with financial services content. 9.5 million pinners actively engage with financial services content on Pinterest. 78% are open to seeing financial service related pins, and 56 million actively engage with home content. So mortgage home equity is a great fit for those 56 million people. There's something like 7 million people that engage with auto content as well. So, there's creative ways of doing it. Here's some examples of financial services pins that are out there currently. Obviously links to some good content. So again, something to think about. Other trends, not as big, but things that may affect our use of social media upcoming. Instagram likes are likely to disappear. So something that Facebook has been testing out is taking likes away. Other platforms may follow suit, but that's going to change again how we measure results. So focus on measuring long-term growth of your fan base and engagement rather than a short-term spike in likes based on what you posted yesterday, right, or last week, because likes may go away. And video continues to boom. So the most popular content across all media channels is still video. And again, Facebook, our video does not have to be professionally produced. Things like gimbals, these handheld gimbals like the one on the right here, for less than $150, you can easily stabilize your phone so you don't have the shakes in your video and record a video that's very high quality without, professional production costs. So let's talk a bit about compliance and management in our last few remaining minutes. So compliance officers are terrified of social media. They see it as this land of monsters, just like, Max and Where the Wild Things Are, where he gets sent to bed for a little bit of mischief. But social media can be managed, and it can be done efficiently and affordably. But you can't manage social media without a third-party tool, right? So complete social media management includes publishing and scheduling. It includes monitoring and listening, and it includes reporting and analytics. And there are lots of choices out there. They start at $60 a month on the low end, and they go to well over $1,000 a month on the high end. But you need a good platform. Some of them are Hootsuite and Sprout Social and Buffer, Agora Pulse, eClincher. These are all some of them. There's dozens more. And of course, we offer our own. But none of the platforms that I have seen, including the one that we offer, are perfect. None of them. So you really just have to look at the features that you need and determine which platform has the best mix of features for you. So when we talk about publishing, you need to be able to post and schedule content across all of your social media sites at once. So you want to be able to include text, photos, and links. You want to be able to preview those posts, review those sent posts. So when you're looking at these platforms, check which sites they support. Look for limits in the number of profiles you can connect to as well. So to give you a quick rundown, of what I'm talking about, obviously when we're building a message in our platform, we can select the different social media profiles that we're going to be publishing to. We can compose our post. We can obviously see those channels and then customize those posts across those different channels, see our character counts, and then even preview the posts for each channel and then schedule it. We have an approval process if we need. So, for compliance purposes, if you need to send those posts to compliance before you schedule or publish to your posts, to your profiles, we have that workflow built in. When it comes to monitoring in these platforms, you want a unified inbox so that all comments and mentions come to you with automatic sentiment scoring. So those responses, you want to be able to respond to any posts or comments directly without having to log into those social media sites. And you want to be able to do even private messaging. You want to be able to set up keyword searches across social media, across review sites, and the web for mentions so that you can get notified of mentions of not only your company name, but of product names, of your competitors, of your executives' names, of your board members, and again, look for limitations in the number of searches that you can specify and make sure that you get email notifications or summaries of those monitors. So we can set up monitors in our system. You can obviously see who's commented, where that mention comes from. You can even click on that to view, in this case, the Twitter profile without having to go to Twitter. You can view the bio, you can view the timeline, you can even see metrics as far as how much influence this individual has on social media. And you'll see the sentiment scoring. So this green dot indicates positive sentiment, a red dot would indicate negative sentiment. And then there's reporting, right? So you want to make sure that whatever platform you use, you can configure and schedule reports. You can track the metrics that are most important to you for each of those profiles, identify the posts with the most engagement, and hopefully archive your posts. So here are just some reporting examples just to show you kind of what those screens even look like. And then there's other features. Again, we talked about how there's workflows to send for compliance approval. You have the ability to publish videos. You can assign activities to other users. And there's even, tools for finding social media content. So I told you it was going to be an action-packed hour. I went through everything as quickly as I could to get it in time, but I would be happy to answer questions that you have offline, and feel free to contact me or your sales rep to schedule a demo of our social media management tool at any time as well. So I thank you very much for your time, and I hope that the information that I provided was valuable for you. So thanks again.